Ai Weiwei is perhaps the leading contemporary Chinese artist of his generation. The piece behind me are 9 vases from 5000 BCE. In one go, he has dipped them into paint, turning them from ancient objects into a contemporary work of art, thus subverting the nature of the work and taking them completely out of context. Here, Ai Weiwei is also questioning, what makes contemporary art? How do we judge value? You have something that was initially an ancient artifact that now can be categorized as contemporary art.
It's a pretty dynamic piece, isn't it? Makes you think of propaganda posters or slogans because it's such a bare, simple and not simple composition. And the words are very strong. And in Russian it says no entry, entry, and the red phrase входа нет, which means no entry. But there's a lot of play within this. In the middle, there's 2 letters, D and A, which means da. So in a way, it's play on words and also play on composition and the structure of this composition. So it says no entry, but actually da means yes. So it's a very complex, very strong, quite a dynamic piece. This particular one is a repeat of the original work that was done in 1974-75. And the Ministry of Culture in Russia asked an artist to repeat this work because it's such a strong, important work for Russian art. I mean, Eric Bulatov is one of the top, most important artists in Russia today.
I think actually for me, one of the most exciting parts is the early Russian photography which we have. Namely the Rodchenkos, which are absolutely fantastic. We've got a number of pieces actually by him, and they're from 1924 and 1925. So it's really the period when he took a lot of photos and he came to photography through photo montage, and he started photographing his immediate circle. So first of all, we've got one of the most beautiful portraits of Mayakovsky, which is perhaps one of the only ones where you'll see him with hair, because it's a very early portrait by him with his dog. It's a print that actually came from Rodchenko's studio and was there many, many years on his sort of coffee table, in fact being used as a sort of coffee mat. And it's absolutely wonderful, and it's one of the first portraits that Rodchenko took. He arrived sort of in the afternoon and took this in low light. So I'm totally delighted to have it. It's extremely rare.
This is a contemporary work by twins called Os Gêmeos, which means twins. And they come from the sort of very much the street tradition. And they started off as graffiti artists, but now have become the darlings of the gallery world. As you can see, they depict people from the streets in Brazil, but it really captures the sort of great cultural diversity that Brazil is well known for. You have people from North Africa, you have the indigenous people of Brazil, and there's an incredible sort of cultural and sociological melting pot, which it very much comes across in these paintings. They're very, very colourful. They show the beauty and the colour of Brazil, and they're hugely sought after now.
This piece, Vic Muniz is probably the most famous Brazilian artist. This work was commissioned for the 100th anniversary for the FIFA, the World Cup. And Vic Muniz's biggest hero is Pelé. So that's what's been done. It's been sold out for years. It's one of these most famous work, and that's what we call the chocolate series. It's also been done with the coffee bean and the sugar, I think. So that's one of them. It's extremely rare, and we're so pleased to have it for Brazil.
Jitish Kalat is arguably one of the leading contemporary Indian artists. He, like a number of Indian contemporary artists, is very keen on observing and documenting what is happening in India economically, also in terms of pop culture, visually, in mass media. And this work behind us, we can see, is sort of epitomizes what he sees as a bright new hope, a bright new future. It's created on the size of a billboard. These billboards are seen everywhere in India now as part of this new media that can be observed in all of the major cities. However, the subject matter are actually for street children from the slums. So what this bright new hope, this bright new future radiates out behind, it doesn't hide the fact that there is still poverty in India. And if you look closely at the actual hair of each of the child, it really reflects the hustle and bustle of everyday life and the working life of a multitude of Indians living in India today.